Hello, I'm Tracy, VE3TWM from Wintry, Ontario, Canada. And in this video, what I'd like to do is show you how I've gone about and set up a 5-band HF end-fed wire antenna in a very small backyard. How do we do it? I'm going to show you. Okay, here's the challenge. A very short backyard, maybe 30-35 feet deep, and about 33 feet wide at the rear of the property, which is indicated by the chain link fence here. How do I erect a 5-band 80 through 10 meter antenna in this short, very short backyard and still have it being somewhat effective? Okay, so what did I use for an antenna? I'm not using a vertical, I'm not using a beam, I don't have a tower. I wanted something low profile. So what I ended up investing in was an antenna made by a company called High End-Fed out of the Netherlands. And this company makes a series of end-fed antennas, many of which are multi-band in nature and can utilize power levels of 100 watts or greater. This intrigued me a lot. In the past, I've used PAR and LNR end-feds, which were either monoband and allowed full power, full barefoot power that is, or were multi-band and allowed only 25 watts maximum. Now the high end fed antenna, the 5-band 80 meters through 10 meters, is actually 75 feet long from the feed point. How do you take a 75-foot piece of wire and string it up in such a fashion that it will behave properly and give you good SWR across the band and be an effective antenna? How do you do it in such a short space? You know, these antennas are designed to be up in the air, completely horizontal, typically 30 to 40 feet above ground. I don't have that kind of area to deal with here, so I had to make some compromises. I'm going to show you now what I've done. Okay, here are some installation notes. First thing I want you to notice is my fence here. You're going to see the coax running along the fence. I've actually raised the coax temporarily for winter. I wanted to keep it below the snow. The snow level isn't too high right now, but at least it's up to a point where the snow will not be a factor. And I can still access the coax if I need to. On the other side of the tree is my high end fed. Now the reason I've got the feed point so far away from the house is I'm trying to eliminate noise, received noise. And I think moving the feed point away from the house is really helping me accomplish that. And I've actually done some experimentation over the past several years with this and found that end-fed antennas with the feed point right at the house exhibit higher noise levels than those where the feed point is farther from the house. It's all logical. It all makes sense to me. So let's take a look what we've got. I actually have the high-end fed antenna mounted here on the fence, and here comes my wire. By the way, you're going to notice this cable tie. Just disregard it. I'm going to clip it off in a few minutes once the video is done. Alright, up here goes the wire. It's a very narrow gauge wire. Nobody's going to see that, which is great for stealth operations. Just, don't want to alarm anybody that I've got these big giant antennas in the backyard. And this wire is now going to go up, and it's going to go across my backyard. And if I go down and show you the back corner, you're going to see that I've got one of my favorite antenna devices, a 31-foot Jacquite fiberglass pole there. Okay, I'm standing at the base of the fiberglass pole. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pan up slowly. And one of the things you'll notice about the fiberglass pole is that there's quite a bend in it. And that's okay. It's absolutely perfect, actually. I've had fiberglass poles up year-round for years now, and no issues whatsoever. The key is not to put too much stress on them. And what I've done at the top of the pole, actually near the top, not right at the top, is I've got a cable tie which has been basically assembled into a loop, and I just run the antenna wire through it. It's not tight on the wire. This allows the wire to move back and forth. It allows the fiberglass pole to move back and forth in the wind, so there's not undue stress on either the pole or the wire. Okay, where does the rest of the wire go? I'm out of backyard. I got to the telescopic pole. Well, the truth is, I'm cheating a little bit here. I've actually gone out into the ravine. And I'm going to try to zoom in on the tree where I've got the antenna tied off to. And you can see the blue rope. And the antenna is tied off to there with a length of blue rope. Really difficult to see, but there is part way up, about maybe about 8-9 feet from the tree, there is an 80-meter loading coil. Let's see if I can zoom in a little. Okay, there's the 80-meter loading coil. And what this is actually doing is saying to the other bands when you go to transmit on them, hey, don't go past this point. In other words, the 10-meter, 15-meter, 20-meter, and 40-meter transmissions don't use the part of the antenna beyond that loading coil. Only 80 meters does. So the entire antenna length is used for 80 meters, and only up to the loading coil for all the other bands. And that's my installation. I've managed to cheat, but now there's a couple of important things you need to note about this. Okay, so my antenna is up. It's a bit of a compromise installation. As I mentioned earlier, the ideal installation for these antennas is to be up 30 or 40 feet, the entire antenna, in a horizontal line, with no angles, up and in the clear. I haven't got any of that going on for me. I had to put an angle in mine. Now here's what you need to know about angles. There's two important facts. The first one is every time you put an angle in one of these antennas, the resonant frequency rises. The second part that's really important is that angle must not be less than 90 degrees. If it's less than 90 degrees, you're going to adversely affect the performance of the antenna. Okay, the antenna is up. It's installed. It's you know, from a physical perspective, it's doing well. But how does it actually perform? Well, I'm back in the shack. And let's talk a little bit more about this antenna. So High-End Fed calls it the 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10. But what they do with the 15 is they put brackets around it, indicating that to use that band, you can expect to have to use a tuner. Well, I've been very pleasantly surprised to find out that I have complete band coverage without the use of a tuner. My SWR is 1.5 or lower across the entire band. In fact, all across 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters, and 40 meters, there is no use of a tuner as long as you've taken the time to trim the wire antenna correctly. Where you do have a limitation is the 80-meter band. And if you stop and think about it, it's a 75-foot wire antenna. There's a loading coil for 80 meters. It's not a full-size 80-meter antenna, which means that you can use it in smaller spaces, as I have done. This means that the amount of band coverage you can expect, and it is tunable, is about 100 kilohertz, 2 to 1 or less. And this has proven to be the case in my installation. Very, very gratifying, given that I've got such a compromised situation going on. But now I want to give you a peek at my logbook and show you what I've managed to work since I've had the antenna installed. So antennas are fun. They're fun to set up. They take a little bit of effort, but it's all for naught if you don't get the results. I'm really happy to tell you that in about 6 or 7 hours worth of operating, I've made 85 contacts right across the continent of North America, from BC to Newfoundland and Canada, out to California and down to Florida, Texas, all the way throughout on every band that this antenna is rated for. I've made contacts, lots of them on 10 meters, which has been a closed band for me because of a lack of antenna. I've even made some contacts on 80 meters, although my forays into that band have been limited. I've been breaking some pile-ups here and there, certainly not the most powerful signal on the band. But you know what? It's been a great thing for me, this antenna. I'm really happy with it. It is absolutely the best antenna I have had at this QTH. I've been here for about 5 years, and who knows, this may help kickstart me into turning the rig on more often when I have a chance. You know, guys, I think this high-end Fed is a great product. Even if you don't think you have the room to install such an antenna, give it some thought, and maybe even look at some of the smaller antennas that they offer. I think it's a winner. And I'd really welcome any comments or questions you might have. And by the way, just to conclude all of this, I'd really like to thank everybody who's subscribed to my channel and all of those who have written to me, and I'm getting letters and emails from people. It's really nice to hear from you. I try to respond as best I can. Thank you all very much. Listen, in Best 73, I hope you have a great 2015. Get on the air. Share with us YouTubers. Maybe think about taking along a camera and shooting about some of the things you're doing and passing along some of the expertise you've picked up. I certainly appreciate it when I see what others have done, and I'm grateful when I get the thanks from others about things that I've done. Take care all. This is Tracy, VE3TWS.